Hey, kings and queens. Happy New Year's. Well, I'm not gonna hold you guys too long, but I didn't want the new year to come in before I touched on this subject or whatnot, so that your next year can be full of love and blessings and prosperity and just everything. Okay. So anyway, I know I don't have. What time is it? It's 9:10. Church started at 10, so this is going to be real brief. So, I wanted to talk about living in your truth, right? So, I do a lot of reflecting, a lot of going within. I try to do a lot of self-evaluation, um, self-eval- um, self-evaluations, introspecting. Like, I just try to do a good job of dealing with me, right? Um, because my prayer this year has been for God to more so deal with me. And I rather him correct me than other people have to correct me, right? Meaning that if I do something to a person, um, it's because I'm unaware. So my goal is to be aware of how I might come off or how I act or how I treat people. So I really try to be really mindful of how I interact with others or whatnot. Um, because a lot of times um, when people do things, sadly or not, a lot of people do know what they be doing, but some people have no idea. And that's the sad thing. It's like a narcissistic behavior. Like you have no idea, you know, of your actions and how you affect other people or how you hurt other people or whatever. So I really try to be mindful. So I ask God to, deal with me before anybody ever had to deal with me. Because if somebody else had to deal with me, then that means it's an issue. It's a real big issue because that mean I'm starting to bleed. It mean I'm starting to affect, and my issues are I'm taking my issues out on others, and that's what I don't want to do. Whether I'm at work, whether it's a relationship, whether it's a friendship, platonic or not, or whatnot, I try to be conscious of that. I try to be considerate. And even though some people, like I said, some people don't care, they'll just, treat people however, selfish, and it don't matter to them. But it matters to me because I understand that you reap what you sow, right? And not only that, it's not so much that you will get it, but you have to think about the seeds that you plant for your next generation and your kids and things like that. Because yeah, you might get away with it in this lifetime if you get away with it, but then look at the seeds that you planted, that your kids, the curses and all this stuff that you have put for them to have to deal with. So that's one of my reasons, because I understand certain laws. And like I said in the previous video, whether you understand certain laws or not, in the spiritual or whether it's physical, in the natural, at the end of the day, that whether you know the law or not, you still can be prosecuted, right? So it works the same in the spiritual. Whether you know or not, it don't matter, because people perish for lack of knowledge, right? So it's very important to be knowledgeable or be willing to learn certain things and just be mindful and aware of certain things. So that was that little spiel. So, but the overall video will be more so about living in your truth, right? So I've learned over the years, because a lot of times we mask things. We hide who we are, or we cover up with facades and try to pretend to be people that we're not. Um, and a lot of it, some of it is out of shame, some of it is um, out of fear of being rejected, because we feel like people won't accept us, how they feel, what they think, which it is what it is. Who cares? Or whatnot. Or it can be out of just some people have no idea when they masking, because they didn't wore a mask so long that that facade, that mask, just like the green mask on the mask, it becomes them. So and they can't separate the two. And like I talked about in the previous video with, fantasies and the two worlds, you get so mixed up in this false world that you created that you lose yourself, and you tried to merge two worlds and it didn't work out, right? So you end up living a lie, okay? Especially when you try to make your fantasy your reality, because you try to run from your reality. So going back to your truths, learning to live in your truths. And when you have to learn at some point how to live in your truth, what that truth might look like to you, will be different from others. Because at the end of the day, a lot of people struggle with identity, with who they are, what they want out of life, what makes them happy. Because a lot of times we don't think about or take the time to actually realize, okay, what makes me happy? What do I want to do? It's always about others. And, oh, Lord knows if you have kids, it's really going to be about them. And you have to learn that just because you have kids, your life don't stop. True enough, yeah, your life gonna be about your kids, but it can't just be about your kids that you end up dying and you ain't gonna be no good to your kids, because you stopped living, or you done got married, so you stopped living, because life is about your wife or your husband and your kids and your family, and you lose yourself. And that's why it's very important that before you get involved in relationships and dealing with other people, that you know who you are and you live in your truth and you never stop. Because if you do, you're going to start to lose yourself in those things. And you should never lose yourself in material things, because we all know that at some point it will crumble. And you just never know how things can happen, because if you lose that, then you lost yourself, and who knows how that might go. Being lost your mind and be on some other stuff, okay? A lot of people can't handle stuff, so that's why you never want to get so caught up in that you take on a new identity, or you lose your identity when you start a family, or when you have kids or whatnot, because you'll forget about you. And if you have a immature person that you're dealing with, then they won't be able to notice, or they won't be considerate enough, because they probably be selfish anyway. If you're dealing with somebody that's selfish, it's dangerous, because sometimes, and that's not love anyway. Love is not selfish. It's actually selfless, so, but that's a whole nother video. So when you dealing with somebody immature, they will allow you to lose yourself in them, because it benefits them. Who won't want something to benefit just them? you know, when you're dealing with somebody that's inconsiderate. So that's why it's very important to know who you are, and whether you have kids or not, you don't lose yourself in your kids. You don't do it because you wouldn't be no good for them. And how can they learn to be them and never to lose themselves if their parents, if their mom and dad then lost themselves in a relationship or in them? So the dangers of that is you start to live through them. And guess what? Ain't nobody gonna be happy because they gonna slick grow up resenting you because you're trying to put yourself into them and make them who you want them to be instead of letting them live their own truths, their own life, their own identity. You're gonna force them to be something that you want it to be or you want it to do. So that's the dangers in not living your truths. Okay? And not only that, when it comes, we talked about the kids, so when it comes to the significant other, you know, you will just be resentful of them and you wonder what's going on and why this is that. And that's because that person that lost themselves in you and they just making it all about you, and it should never be that. You know, so especially, like I said, that's why visions, when you have a vision or you want certain things in life, then you need to be clear and upfront. So a person can know what they getting themselves into, and so y'all visions can come together. So you won't lose yourself trying to just build somebody else's vision. That y'all be building a legacy and it be y'all vision. And y'all's together. So that's one part of the spiel. So going back to living your truth, because living your truth is so important, but I want to bring that example up to build on this is why. When you don't live your truth, you risk things like dealing with anxiety. I know. Oh yeah, I know all too well because I deal with it, and it's just not a good thing. You just be so anxious and antsy and can't sleep. No fun at all. Not only that, when you get anxious and you get antsy like that, it's because something is keeping you up. Your spirit, your soul, because your soul know deep down, even when you try to hide it and when you try to mask it, that it's something that you should be doing, but you're not doing it. So it's a trigger, really. Anxiety is just a trigger to let you know that you should be doing something that you know that you should be doing, but you're trying to ignore it. And that's what's troubling you. Whenever you're supposed to be moving on something or whenever you're supposed to be doing something, but you stay still and you try to ignore it and you try to cover it. And that's where anxiety comes from. Depression. Depression comes from when you decide that you want to not express yourself. When you choose not to express who you are, what you want, and you don't live in your truth, all these things are symptoms when you don't live in your truth. You know, when you don't go after what you want. You know, when you try to cover things up or, you know, bury yourself in other stuff so you won't have to deal with the true matter of the heart, which is suppression. And anytime you suppressing something, you can't express things the way you want to, it's a buildup. And it locks you down. It locks the mind down. And it just drives you crazy. And it's named depression. Because it just it's just a prison, okay? It's a mental prison that enslaves you. And that's what happened when you don't live in your truth, when you don't be who you are, or you not happy, and you fail to express it or do whatever you need to do to not be there, which is true. Just simply living your truth, who you are, be who you are. Do the things that you love and the things that you want, because a lot of times we forget, and I have to think sometimes, and I was like, man, what do Alice like to do? What do I like to do? Yeah, I like helping people, you know, but at the same time, like, how do you like to help? Yeah, I like hooping. Do I still hoop? You know, just hoop last weekend, so it's certain things, used to skate, you know, like to swim. So it's certain things that you used to do that you stopped doing that make you feel good. I love the nature. Is it that you love the nature? You like being by water? Take a vacation. Go by the water. I love to hear the sound of water. It just does something to me. Like I don't know, it's just coming to me. It's a natural vice that is healthy. So maybe in this new year we can pick up healthier vices and put down the unhealthy vices. Whether, like I said, is eating, overeating, whether it's drinking, smoking, sexing, sleeping around, whatever it is. Some things we just have to learn how to put down and pick up healthier vices. And we do that by you know, um, going within and reflecting and being like, you know what, this will make me happy. I like to hoop. Guess what? Your girl gonna be hooping every weekend. I'm going to the gym. I'm gonna hoop. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm gonna do. It's a healthy vice, and then it helped me lose weight too. So it's like, so you have to, like I said, learn to live your truth, because I've learned that over the years, and sometimes we hide without even thinking about it. We hide in our work. You know, I can remember growing up, like, I used to, like, just, like, even just throughout the years, just stay in school. You know, you will let your achievements, you building up or you being successful, we are had in our careers, so we are had in our academics, and we are had in our um, marriages, and we are had in our kids, and we are had in certain things, material things, and not even think about it until you actually sit back and reflect and be like, man, I haven't dealt with these abandonment issues. Man, I haven't dealt with my insecurities. I haven't dealt with my rejection issues. I haven't dealt with um, my heartbreak. You know what I'm saying? So it's like certain things, from past relationships, old wounds, you realize, man, I haven't dealt with it. And that's what, all these years I've been hiding in my work. I've been hiding in relationships. You know what I mean? I haven't, so it's certain things you have to, like I said, it's really a good time to self-reflect, you know, and go back and be like, what haven't I not dealt with? What am I not dealing with that I have to be so busy or pretend that I'm good? So I hide in whatever I need to hide in, so people will think that I'm good, you know. And one thing about me, I am not a good pretender, which, like, I'm transparent anyway. So I'm not all into that hiding stuff. If something ain't what it is, it ain't what it is, okay? And that's one thing I'm not gonna do, is pretend like something is cool when it ain't, okay? And that's what I had to learn through life, with hiding through stuff, not dealing with losing my mother at an early age, or father not being there, just, like, and you wondering why, certain things coming up, or why you have these anger issues, why will, learning to speak up, because you suppress things, and then you wonder why you blowing up, and people think you're crazy because they like, you petty. Like, you mad over this, and you like, no, it wasn't this. I let it build up. You know what I mean? So, like I said, you have to live in your truth so you won't blow up, you know, and people look at you crazy, and then you be embarrassed because something blew up and you done acted way out of character or whatnot, because of something you haven't dealt with, okay? So you don't never want to get to a point that you lose yourself, in people and things and careers. And the only thing I would say that you should lose yourself is in purpose. If you ain't losing yourself in purpose and living the way that you're supposed to, living for what you're made to live in and to be in, because you're not going to be able to handle it. If you losing yourself in things other than what your purpose for, it's not going to work. Because at some point, everything is going to just blow up. Okay? So I challenge each and every one of you guys to just self-reflect and go back and look at everything. Look at why do I keep myself so busy? Why am I always on the go? Why am I always moving and out kicking it? Why I'm scared to be alone? Why I gotta have somebody laying next to me every night? What am I scared to deal with? What is it that I'm hiding from? What has hurt me that I haven't dealt with? You need to deal with it. Because at the end of the day, regardless of how we feel and how we try to hide stuff and how we try to ignore living in our truth, being who we are, being happy, being whatever whatever makes us free, because living in your truth is an act of freedom, because you're going to always be a slave until you live in your truth. Simple as that. You're going to be in this mental prison, and you're going to be afraid of stuff. And you're going to always, because that's an act of living in fear when you don't live in your truth. And you're going to always be depressed. You're going to always be full of anxiety when you don't live in your truth. And guess what? It wasn't until I started just, like I said, just being free, being me. It is what it is. That I can sleep at night. I sleep at night. I sleep good at night now. Used to have to go to the doctor and get some medicine for anxiety, but guess what? Your girl sleep at night, and I don't even need no pills no more to sleep at night. Don't. So it's like, I don't need none of that. I don't gotta have a drink to sleep at night. Because I've learned how to start living in my truth. And like I said, the one way to start living in it is to self-reflect and go back and be like, why do I feel like I have to hide in my success? Simple as that. Why do I feel like I gotta be something that I'm not? Who making you not be something that you're not, because they're not something that they're not? You know what I mean? So it's like, so just be wary with dealing with people that don't live in their truth, or are scared to live in their truth, because it's contagious. You're gonna catch it, okay? like a STD, you gonna catch it. Believe it. We just gonna be real. Spiritual transmitted disease. So, I mean, yeah, it's real. So, like I said, y'all learning, living your truth. And I promise you, you'll start sleeping at night. You won't have to suffer from depression. And just express. Learn to express yourself. Learn to be vocal. Because I was having issues with my throat the whole year. Like, I was going to the doctor, the ENT, the third, what I'm saying, ear, third, and it was nothing wrong, they said, and I knew it was spiritual. After I went through so many doctors, y'all just don't know, like the orthopedics, like the orthodontists, like everything. And it was basically, it was spiritual warfare, basically. Like, I was dealing with my throat. Like, it was like the enemy was basically trying to shut me up, right? Trying to keep me from speaking up. So sometimes your truth is speaking up, okay? I don't know why I feel like I hate to say that. Use your words. Speak up. Live in your truth. So like I said, y'all, I hope y'all have a great new year. And hopefully I can help free some of y'all. Y'all, my hair, this look much better live. Right now, it don't look so cute when I ain't, but I'm telling you, I am kind of cute. I'm just messing with y'all. But all right, y'all be good. And again, Happy New Year. Y'all be blessed. And y'all, I'll see y'all next year.